Adoption of the agenda of the board study session of Tuesday, May 24th, 2016. May I get a motion? I have a motion by Donna Friedman. Second by Lynn Ebenkamp. Anything to be pulled?
I'd like to have one item under the consent calendar, under 6, consent education.
Okay, folks, this is Roy Humphreys, and we had a little technical snafu at the Rowland Unified School District board study meeting this evening, and my 3 minutes of fame didn't get recorded. So what I'm going to do is read off of my notes that I actually turned into the district secretary, so she would be able to do the minutes and so forth. And here there's right here. Okay, I'm not changing anything other than what I actually stated there. There's page 2. And so I'm going to read it to you because there was very important issues that to be brought up. And number 1 is 5B on the agenda list, and mine was congratulations for the search for IT professional. Question being, why now and not from day 1 when Julie Mitchell got here? And after a citizen introduced you, meaning the board, to Cisco Systems. An obstructive administration goes to the board. The board is responsible for everything that happens within the district. Item 2 was 5A on the agenda, and the budget revisions had 2 different dates. They're doing, but this is here we are in May, and they have one for March 8th and May 24th, which gives us a budget deficit of $12 million. That's a big 12. Okay, and at first it was thought that the terminating of 42 persons from the certified persons list, temporary list, would be affected by that, but I was informed that those people will essentially be hired back, so there'll be a net wash on that. And 6A3 was the issue where Nogales High School, due to a, quote, communications fluke, that they did not have the money in the preparations for the dinner, traditional dinner for the party for the graduatees and the prom people for prom night. So what happened is the school principal went to the district and says, hey, can you help us out here? And so the district came up with $6,400 so 291 kids can have their prom dinner. And to that I say, hey, if those board members can okay $3,000 for Julie Mitchell, the superintendent, and $3,000 for Judy Nye, a going out board member, to go on a joyride to Macy's Day Parade, and including some for Carrie Chen, the board member there, they certainly should come up with the money for these kids. And the only thing is, in my opinion, they should come out of the pockets of those who did the communication snafu and the failure of the art of communicating. And it would be a good learning tool for those adult persons. And item number 4 was the despicable conduct of Superintendent Mitchell and Mr. Bixler at the Personnel Commission meeting earlier this month. And you can see the video on YouTube, in that, as you know, the Personnel Commission reports to the board and is not subordinate to the administrative aspect of Julie Mitchell in any way, shape, or form. And there's only one thing that was more disturbing than that, and that was the aspect that Sabrina Lee and Judy Nye, commissioners of the commission, essentially were clueless. And you just go to look at the video and you see what I'm talking about. Also, in item number 6, we have the board president's conduct at the May 10 board meeting, in allowing the superintendent to get away with snubbing the directions of the board given by the board in April, and later her later comment on her IT skills as to computers, so forth, and the understanding brings into question her 21st century skill set, and that she should voluntarily step down as president of the board and be replaced by David Malcolm, who is just for the good of the district, good of the board, and David Malcolm is, the shining star of the entire operation there, and deserves that. And we desperately are in need of a replacement. Also, we note that the Bond Oversight Committee got their tickets for going up to on the 31st to Sacramento for the annual get-together up there, and we're all for and glad for that. But we wonder, this had not been approved yet. Maybe got a little slush fund going for that. So there was more, but we'll just leave it right there. Again, I gave this information to the secretary, and nothing has essentially word for word. And thank you very much.
Good evening, board and our fabulous audience. Sorry, I'm just getting tired. I just would like to take a moment before our public hearing to explain some of the process about how this plan has come about. So as our leadership team, we knew that we had this nice gift of money that we could support our teachers and our educators with. And so as a leadership team, we had come together and shared ideas and brought them together and costed some things out. And knowing that it was one-time money, we needed to do one-time sort of things with it. And so we wrote a plan that went along with that theory and to support where we are going as a district with our focus areas and our LCAP and just additional pieces with that. So last week I had the opportunity to Ricochet Rowland from ARA to run the plan by him and see how he received it. And so he asked me to go to the rep council meeting. And I had an opportunity to speak with most of the representatives from each of the schools, and they were very receptive to the ideas in the plan as a way to try some new things and deliver some different professional development, and just wanted to share that with you as part of our process. And so they did accept the plan, or share their opinion in a positive way that they would like to support the plan. And so just tonight, as we look at that, I just want to share if there's any questions.
Okay, so then we will open the public hearing on educator effectiveness block grant for the 2016-17 academic year at 5:59. Public hearing. We'll close the hearing at 6 p.m. Comments?
I heard Teresa did a great presentation and the teachers really liked the idea. And I was wondering if you could mention what badging is so that would inform everybody. They were really happy about that.
So the idea of badging is more of the idea of a competency-based professional development. So as teachers or staff become competent in a skill and they can demonstrate that skill to us, then we give them a badge. So think of Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and their little thing, their little sashes, but it's an electronic. Or if you think about it, it comes from actually video games, and if you level and you kind of kill the dragon and you get that thing, you get that little star in the corner of your video game, that's the idea of a badge. And so instead of saying, hey, you sat here through this training and we're going to buy your sub for you, it's more about having teachers show us that they have a competency. So it might be a very specific task, like I can use Kahoot with my class on a project and you can show me that you can do that. Or it could be that I have improved my questioning strategies and worked upwards with it, maybe my coach or my principal, and so I've gone from here to here and I've met this level in this strategy, and then we would badge you for that. So that's why I gave it, is to show us your competency versus just seat time and saying you sat through the training and you do it or don't do it in your class.
Mrs. Healy, thank you for giving a little introduction before all these comments were made. But it helps the audience to know what they're looking at, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our discussion action items, monthly budget revision. Within 45 days of adopting a collective bargaining agreement, the superintendent of school district shall forward the county superintendent of schools any revisions to the school district's current year budget that are necessary to fulfill the term of that agreement. The school district must include any additional costs that may result from the terms of the collective bargaining agreement in any interim fiscal reports or multi-year fiscal projections. May I get a motion to approve the budget revisions related to the selected settled negotiations? I have a motion by Donna Friedman.
Second.
A second by Carrie Chin. Discussion?
I just would like to bring our attention to two items on here. One is B4 and the other is B5 on the unrestricted. And there was a reduction of 2.2, almost 2.3 million in books and supplies. And on the other one, 132,000 on services. If we can just give a brief explanation what those reductions, how those reductions were made.
Alex?
I've asked Eric to provide a
Eric? Yes.
For President or Superintendent. So what these are reductions that were being made in conjunction with the increase in expenditures for the settlement. So these are reductions in projections that were being made at the same time. As we move between second interim and the budget adoption, we get into a period of what we call the estimated actual. So we start doing heavy projections through the end of the year. Because the negotiations settled after second interim, generally you don't do large budget revisions after your second interim. That's your chance. Your second interim revisions, your big one. We had an opportunity to revise our expenditures to better reflect the end results and the actuals. So the salaries are in there. There was some one-time dollars anticipated to be spent this year in the 4,000s. The majority of that money that's no longer, that was then pulled back out of the budget to not be, because it wasn't going to be spent. We didn't want to show that as potential expenditures in this year, knowing it was moved to the next fiscal year.
more specifically, the one-time purchase on the 404,000 was the site block grant that we gave each of our schools, and a large of it was for technology-related material. So if we're doing a pilot program to see what technology we'll be purchasing in the future, we asked the principals not to purchase anything, so we make wise purchases later. And those purchases are going to happen next fiscal year. So that's why that's a $1.6 million right there, another $2 million.
Correct, and that's because we knew we weren't going to spend it because we knew we hadn't identified the types of items we were going to use it. We were able to pull that back out of the budget because it was funded from the reserves. We wanted to drop it back down to the reserves and take it out of expenditures. So
there's no negative impact on student learning.
correct.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Hart. Next, we have our consent calendar. Next, we have the first reading and approval of job description for Education Technology Coordinator. Receive for first reading and approval the job description for Education Technology Coordinator. May I get a motion? I have a motion by Donna Friedman. Second by Lynn Evankamp. Discussion? All in, go ahead.
Let's make one. I really think it's a great idea to have somebody, to coordinate the infrastructure of it, but also to work with the teachers. And I feel that this will more than fulfill that coordination effort. So I'm really in support of this.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the consent calendar minus item 6A3. May I get a motion to accept the consent calendar? I have a motion by Donna Friedman. Second by Carrie Chin. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have item 6A3, Nogales High School prom dinner expenditure request. May I get a motion to approve? I have a motion by Donna Friedman, a second by Lynn Evankamp. Discussion?
I want to make a few comments on this one. When you think back, especially when I think back 50 years ago or more, when I had my prom, a prom is something that lasts on forever. I mean, it's a memory that people will take with them. And for whatever reasons, there was some miscommunication. And I really want to commend our administration for stepping forward and not letting this opportunity be lost for these students. And not only finding a place that could, provide meals for such a large group, but do it in an efficient way and do it so it doesn't, so it's right next to where the dance was going to be. So these students will have this memory, to treasure for many years. At the same time, I think we need to look into what happened. Traditionally, I understand that ASB works very closely with the student representatives. They go out, they look at the site, they look at the menu, and they make a determination what they want. And that it's a learning process actually for the students to go through. And for whatever reason, it didn't work well this time after many years of working well. And I think we need to look what was done differently this time that caused this so we don't repeat this next year.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have our human resources consent items for your review. Oh, I'm sorry. Next, we have, we're going to go to closed session, right? At 6:08 p.m.
There are no public comments for this session.
So we're adjourned to closed session at 6:08 p.m.
I think we're